Hi everyone, this is Josh and I have COVID-19. My life. Luckily I'm not feeling completely awful that I can't record this video, but I'm definitely not feeling great right now. Today the film we're talking about is The Northman, and in case you're wondering, I did not see this film while I had COVID. That would be incredibly irresponsible. As a quick warning, this video will contain some minor spoilers, so if you don't want to hear any, then go to this point in the video so you can avoid them. There's your warning. 3, 2, 1. The Northman is the long-anticipated third film from American filmmaker Robert Eggers, who has made a name for himself with his past two horror films, The Witch and The Lighthouse. While I did have some issues with The Witch, I definitely liked it overall, and The Lighthouse is probably one of the best horror films I've seen in years. With his third film, Robert Eggers takes a break from horror to tackle a revenge epic, and the results are mixed. The Northman follows Amleth, who's on the verge of becoming a man when his father is brutally murdered by his uncle, who also kidnaps his mother. 2 decades later, Amleth returns to his homeland to avenge his father and save his mother. I applaud Robert Eggers for making an ambitious, no-holds-barred period piece epic that relishes in violence and mysticism, but unfortunately, I didn't really feel connected or invested in the characters or what was happening. This isn't the first time Robert Eggers has made all of the characters in his films unlikable. I mean, Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson's characters in The Lighthouse are pretty terrible people, but The Witch and The Lighthouse especially had a dark intrigue to them and a story that unfolds in a satisfying and unpredictable way. Both of those films I also felt were appropriately paced and continuously build tension. The Northman, on the other hand, doesn't really transcend the revenge tale. It largely feels like a Shakespearean story you've seen before, but with some of Robert Eggers' sensibilities infused into the film. And while there are good moments and some impressive scenes, including some really well done long takes, most of the film moves at a sullen pace with no deeper meaning or emotional core to latch onto. The film reaches a point during the second half where you're kind of just waiting for it to reach the climax, hoping that it will deliver. But since the film spells out what's going to happen to the main character through its many prophetic scenes, it doesn't leave very many surprises. That's not to say there aren't any twists in the film. There are small parts of the story that do go against your generic revenge tale. I liked how the film doesn't make these characters these black and white or good and bad people. The film, I think, effectively shows that all of them are a product of the brutal and ruthless time period they're living in. Because this is Robert Eggers, the set and the costume design of The Northman feels very true to the time period. He and his team are known for doing a ton of research beforehand so they can get all of these details right. And of course, you can also expect some genuinely weird mystical scenes in this film too, which definitely makes it stand apart. There's one scene in particular towards the beginning of the film that involves a ritual where characters take this potion that makes them trip like they're on LSD. It's very bizarre and made myself and many others in the theater feel uncomfortable. I appreciated most of the mysticism, which is laid on pretty thick, but I couldn't help but feel like these mystical elements were just breaking up what is otherwise a very basic story. What also kind of disappointed me is how unimpressive the acting is, especially since this is an A-list cast. Nobody in the film was terrible or bad necessarily, there just weren't many memorable performances. Maybe this had to do with the fact that a lot of the original dialogue was replaced with ADR because the original Old Norse English dialogue confused audiences during test screenings, which probably f***ed with the delivery of the dialogue that they got on set. This could explain why characters sometimes speak in Old Norse dialogue in The Northman and then speak in more basic Old English in other scenes, which was a little distracting. I don't know if it was that or maybe the direction, but there were a few serious scenes that were just laughable in terms of how they're performed and presented. Maybe the comedy in these scenes was supposed to be intentional. Robert Eggers wasn't afraid to be comedic sometimes with The Lighthouse, but those scenes never distracted from the overall experience of that film, which is something I can't say about The Northman. And while there is a lot to admire technically with some excellent cinematography by Jaron Blaschke, I also did not care for some of the CGI in the film, including this family tree animation of the main character's family that the film cuts to every now and again. The opening shot, while grand, moody, and epic, also has the same problem. There's a few CGI elements in the shot that just don't look good. There's some elements of the action that I also felt were kind of clunky, especially with the first action scene with how the main character is able to escape a bunch of guys on horses pretty easily. Yeah, I know this is a revenge tale. Of course, the main character is going to have some plot armor early on. I just felt like that could have made his escape a little more convincing. Guys, I have massive respect for Robert Eggers as a filmmaker. This was clearly a project where he was swinging for the fences that had a ton of production challenges from what I've read online. I commend him and the whole crew for creating an unforgiving Viking epic in 2022, which is something you hardly see nowadays. But even though there's a lot of things to admire about the Northman, I think there's a few areas where it just falls a little short, especially with its story. I'm going to give the Northman a 3 out of 5. Thanks for watching this review, guys. I really appreciate it. You're the best. Let me know what you thought about the Northman in the comment section below. Feel free to leave a recommendation on a film, TV show, or subject that I should discuss next while you're down there. If you like what you see, then be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you can know when the next video drops. Quick update on the sound treatment video that has been delayed, and I'm not going to provide any more updates on it until it's finished. I think every time I bring it up, something comes up that just delays it even further, so I'm just not going to bring it up until it's done. But thanks again, guys. Please get vaccinated and get boosted. This shit would probably be way worse if I wasn't either of those things. So until next time, take it easy and be well. Bye.